Welcome to the Squad Plug. Today's episode, we have Brandon Pitre here with us. Mark's remote. We're doing a little Zoom call with him, and we are here. What do you want to lead off with?
Why don't you tell us where you guys are and what you're doing?
Yes.
We're currently right now in Houston. We were here yesterday for regionals, Southern regionals. Amazing meet. Marshall and Mark Peltier, apparently. That's how they pronounce it.
Oh, okay.
That's what I heard. I thought I was calling him Mark Peltier, but Mark Peltier ran the meet. Very well run. I loved all the nuance, little things that they did. Like the platforms had like a designated lifters, like they were assigned them and that kind of stuff. So prevented a whole lot of the chaos. It was 3 different sessions. You had a morning session, you had an afternoon session, and then you had the prime time session in the evening, which is pretty damn cool. So some amazing lifts out there. Brandon Pitre over here handled people through all 3 sessions. So, kudos to him. That was quite the marathon.
A long
day.
It's a very long day.
When I have those type of days, I feel like I'm more exhausted than the lifters who competed.
Oh, I'm for sure more exhausted than they are. They're all like, I was like, oh, we're gonna go out, da da da. I'm like, it's like I'm going home. So y'all have fun, and then they're like sleeping in, and they're gonna do stuff today, and I'm like, oh, nah, I'm here. And after I'm here, I'm gonna help my friend move, and then after that, I'm gonna be cashed out for the rest.
Man.
So Fred, they always ask the strong people, right?
Yeah, I know, right? It's like, yeah, you're helping me move, right? I'm like, oh, man.
What are you doing?
I'm not that strong.
Yeah. No. This better be a community. It's like it's not gonna be just me. If it was just me, I'd go home. Like you're on your own. Hire a moving company. You can tell that there was a meet yesterday by the way this podcast is going.
Yeah, we're like fucking shot. We're all shot. Hey.
It's either that or there's something in the yellow watermelon.
Yeah, shot by a bullet.
Oh, not in the
Ayo's acting like he's like shy around a girl right now. He's like so.
It's canon now.
Oh yeah, the prime time.
There was a big upset.
Yeah.
Fucking Bam pulled for the win at the end. What did he pull, like 844?
Yeah, whatever 384 kilos is.
God damn.
That's insane, bro.
Technically, he pulled more than Rondell then, right? Because I think it was he weighted at like 115, so he was technically 125.
Oh yeah, no, he pulled more than Rondell because he took Mike Cheshir's record that's held for like 10 years. Yeah.
Oh
And
man.
the thing is Rondell keeps trying like 400 kilos, and he keeps failing it. So I think that Rondell is probably the strongest deadlifter, but you cannot showcase it. You keep missing your fucking 30 attempts.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You should just open up a 400. Just end it.
You fail, you fail.
It's either bomb out or history. Like no other option.
But yeah, Kyle DeLeon got second. I feel like Kyle has been chasing that pro card for the longest, and like
Kyle. So thankfully, like I train with Kyle. Well, me and Kyle train around each other all the time, and I hang out with Kyle a lot. And it was just after the Arnold, he put so much into that, and then they kind of like put Rondell and Keenan in that session with him, and it was just kind of like he had the best meet of his life, like one of the best 82 and a halves, 83s in the world, but it just wasn't enough when you're comparing it against like a Rondell Hunt and like a Keenan. Like there's just those are like 2 freaks. So this is a second chance of getting it, but I know personally like his motivation for this meet just wasn't really there. So that's why he didn't cut. He just kind of went into it. But Bam, I mean, his training was just kept going up. And he was like you could tell he was actually gunning for the pro card. So it was an upset, but no one was really like too shocked that like it did happen. Just because, Kyle just didn't care as much for this meet as he did the Arnold. Plus it's a quick turnaround. It's kind of hard to keep that motivation up,
Yeah.
Also, go ahead.
What do you want to say?
I was actually going to ask about motivation, how Bob Pitre keeps it up.
Oh yeah.
Pause.
oh man.
Oh, we were going crazy today, huh?
No, that was insane. No, that was insane. That was actually insane.
So how do you keep it up, Brendan? Let us know.
I just hope we're talking about the same thing. Motivation. How I stay motivated.
How do you stay hard?
Wait, what?
Whoa.
Oh, hey, yo. Kind of wild. Kind of spicy.
I know, right?
No, I don't know what you're on, but no, I'm just kidding.
Talking like David Goggins over there.
I know, that's exactly what I was trying to do.
I don't know. It's motivation is like hit or miss, honestly, for me. Like sometimes I don't have motivation, and then sometimes I'll like have to find something to try and get motivated by, and sometimes it just ends up being a reach and it's not real. So then I get demotivated again, and then I have to wait until like something actually motivates me. But other than that, is a discipline of like knowing of like if I keep trying to present myself to be the best self, like something will come that like makes it to where like I am motivated.
So what was like one of the most motivated phases you've had, and what was the motivating force behind it?
The most motivating things that I had.
I see where you're trying to take this. I see where you're trying to take
No,
this.
just like I'm just asking, like very innocently.
Okay.
You know?
What's funny is the answer probably will shock y'all because it's not like,
Okay.
because a lot of people think
Yeah.
Arnold, bomb out, and then CPT, very highly motivated, right? Like that's what a lot of people think. That's actually not the most motivated I've ever been. The most motivated I've ever been was between the first Carolina Prime Time and then Virginia Pro. That was when, for me, I felt as if like I was really strong and I felt like I was one of the best in the world, but then no one really thought that of me. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I remember even leading up to Virginia Pro, like everyone had like Austin and Bob and like all those like, high radar like lifters, and they were like being showcased and stuff like that. And they were all projected to just do better than me or to win and all these other things. And so I took that like all personally. They even made like, one of the biggest motivating things was the director of the meet took like they were trying to like make it fun. So they took like the Tekken stuff, like you could select all the players and then like, pick which ones are fighting against each other. And they had all these different like people from the meet in there. And look like, I mean, there was about like 15 people. So it was like, it wasn't even like the top 5. So it wasn't even like, don't get too salty because it's the best of the best. Like it was 15 people. There's people in there that I didn't even recognize their face. And I was just like, and I couldn't find me. And I was like, oh, they don't like, he really doesn't think I'm like that. I was like, okay, like that's cool. Like, I'll just show you. Yeah, like this, I was like, it's fine. It's like, I'll show you. So then that's when showed to the meet and then took second. And like basically, because I didn't cut, like I would have had the best total for 93s in the world. And then that was like, my breakout meet or breakout performance, you would say. And like that, I was very highly motivated, like going into that.
Yeah, I really think that if you're the underdog, you have a different type of.
Yeah, it's a different chip.
Because like nobody expects you to like get out there and like be like the best, or you just like quote unquote like working in silence, or you just like you go to the gym every day and you're like, I'm gonna show them. I'm gonna show them. But like when you're like established, it's kind of different. Like I mean, I'm not an established lifter by any means, but like I don't know how you felt. Like you said, like you felt differently, like after like the bomb out. Like,
yeah, it was.
I want to see even before, but let's because bomb out like will impact the person either way. Whatever the case, it's gonna be motivational because you're gonna have to prove yourself, whatever. But being an established lifter now, because you were established prior to that taking place, whatnot, and you're again reestablished right now, and even during the bomb out, because it doesn't define who you are as a lifter.
Right.
But after having been defined as an established lifter, what was the motivational force there? What was your thing? What was your aim? What is your aim, in fact, currently?
What's the first question? Like reword that for me.
So basically, after
context,
you basically blew up on the scene, and you're like, "I am that guy," and people are like, "Holy shit, he is that guy!"
Like at Virginia Pro and then post Virginia Pro.
Yes.
Post Virginia Pro for me, the motivation. Honestly, that motivation died from like January to April, but that was because of life. Like, a bunch of life things happened, and yeah. So like personal things got in the way, and then I just honestly saw that Nationals was right around the corner, and I just woke up one day and said, nah, like I can easily turn my life around. I can easily just get back into this thing. I need to act like I care again. And then I was motivated to just stop being a bitch and just like care again and like put all the personal shit aside. And then that was motivating me because I was just like, I would rather work 10 times harder than let any excuse or let any other thing come into my life that brings me down. So it's like, if something like, try to, take me off course, I would have worked 10 times harder to just put myself back on track. So like my motivation was like every single time adversity hit, I worked harder against that adversity. And then I was happy every single day that I got a dub versus something that would normally take other people or take even my old self as an L. Like I would normally take an L in that situation. So that was my motivation going into nationals. Like keep collecting dubs each day, keep winning against adversity. Don't let shit get to you. Even if it does get to you, like bounce right back, like, you know, within the same day. And then I just kept stacking. And then again, even going back to my earlier point about like just having that consistency, like since I was consistent at that time, I started getting a different spike of motivation because Worlds is right around nationals. And I was like, I feel like I could out total these guys, like weighing way less. And then, like, luckily for me, they went first. So I just wanted to see. And then I saw what the world record, like, total was. And it was like 870 something or something like that. And I was like, oh, yeah. Like,
You could hit that RP8.
yeah, I was like, on my worst day, I could beat that. And then that's exactly what happened. Like, I didn't have like a fantastic day at nationals just because like squats were weird because it was my first time cutting 290, and then bench was a little weird. Although I had a pretty decent bench, but it was still not my best. And then deadlifts were, to me, I pulled 804, but I felt like I should have had more even on that day. So, but I was like, oh man, I mean, I still told them, so that was like great. And then post that, I think motivation died, but I allowed it to die so that way I could have fun. So whenever motivation came back, like I could be ready for it. Now the motivation that did come, I will say that I'm glad I did have fun and take the break because I didn't expect to be basically put on a pedestal or put on like, you know, this shrine of being the opposition, like the opposition to like the biggest name in all of powerlifting. So that was something that I wasn't ready for, but I welcomed it. And then that kind of like has been my motivation, honestly, ever since. Still, kind of like currently.
Really, still.
Yeah, still. I mean, he won't move up or do anything. He won't actually face me. But like to me, I still just in my head, like if he ever chooses to actually like, you know, like man up a little bit and like go against me, like that would be great. Like I'm ready for it every single time.
Dude, I can see it already. I mean, we have had a conversation, but I compare him to Floyd Mayweather. Remember, I guess like when he was scheduled to fight Manny Pacquiao?
Yeah.
He waited and he waited and he waited. When Manny Pacquiao tore his shoulders, okay, by the way, we're gonna have that fight now. It's that same type of energy. He situates himself in just such a way that he's always winning. You know?
Yeah.
He goes against adversaries he knows he's going to beat. Those local meets instead of doing like the Arnold, for example, in Korea. You know, that kind of stuff. You know, it's just it's pretty.
Yeah, but people know what he's doing, so
Yeah.
you can't.
But his
Can't hide. You can't really hide that fact.
Yeah. And which is why, like, I mean, my goals aren't to just like chase or follow him around. It's more like I'm here for whenever. But until then, like, I gotta, you know, take care of, you know, my goals and things that I want to do because I can't feed into whatever he has going on.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, whether or not I guess he ducks you, whatever the case is, I think in powerlifting it's not like boxing, where in boxing you don't have a dots. In powerlifting, you have a dots.
Yeah, we have a dots and a total.
And a total.
Yeah. So like either or.
So he can duck you.
Yeah.
The numbers are there.
So speaking of goals, so what's the next step for you from here?
From this actual position that I'm in, the next goal is to try and still break Jesse's record in September.
Fuck yeah.
Because I feel like I can do that.
That'd be wild. Holy
Yeah.
shit.
So his drug tested total is 914. So that's his overall total is 922 and a half. But I'm just going for the drug tested one. So I'm just trying to chip it 914 and a half. I think I could do that. Like as long as I recomp well and like my squat is there, that's the only thing that like will dictate if I can break that record or not. Because I just need a 705 squat on the platform. So if I get that, I don't need to bench anything crazy. I just need to bench like 474, and then I'll just have to chip my deadlift record that I have right now, and then that's there.
You got a mean bench. I mean, people like look at your deadlift and whatnot, but you're like a very well-rounded lifter. Mean squat, mean bench press, mean deadlift. What drives your bench press, if I may ask? I'm bench press connoisseur, so you know.
What drives my bench press?
Yeah.
That's like why I'm so good at it. honestly been blessed. That's really it. No pun intended. No pun intended. But
The best
no,
answer.
I just been blessed. Believe it or not, I've been working out since I've been like 12 years old, and the first thing that I got was a bench press, and so that's literally the only exercise that I even
Man of
knew.
culture.
Because I was like, oh yeah, just lay down and you just bench press. You see it all in the movies and the TV shows. Like that's all they do is bench press. You don't really see squatting too much like in TV shows and movies. So
That's what we need. They want to grow the sport.
Like nine out of 10 guys would have a good bench press. You're like, how are you so good at bench press? They're like, well, I've been doing it since I was 6.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah,
that makes sense.
yeah, no, like, that's exactly it. I've just been doing it forever. I remember my freshman year of high school. We're playing football, and every single day after practice, I would work out. And of course, I was like squatting, not to depth at all, like not even close. And then deadlifting, breaking my back. And like I was doing that after practice, and I would just dedicate
After
myself
practice.
like every single day that year. I remember at the end of my freshman year, I bench pressed 265, and all the other people in my class were like struggling to get a plate.
What?
Yeah, and I didn't realize I was different until like that moment, and I was like, oh.
Shit. I was like, I'm stronger than you.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
I might be built for this.
Yeah, and then I remember like being able to get into the 300s like by the time that I left high school and stuff like that. And then I think my very first powerlifting meet that I did, I think I benched like 424.
What?
So yeah, but then I got good at squatting, and then that kind of like wrecked my bench press for a little bit. So that hit my plateau. But once I got things rolling, like just bench just always kind of came naturally for
That
me.
is wild. Your first meet, you're benching 424 pounds. That's fucking crazy. Holy shit.
I think it was squatting. Like my opener was like 440 my first meet. That's the difference we're talking about. And you were like what 93 back then too?
Yeah,
Probably right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I was 93, but I was sub 90. So I think I weighed in like 195, 194.
It's fucking nuts, bro.
Also, you've been at the weight class for pretty much the entire duration of your.
I 100% have. Yep. I've been in 90 to 93 for the past 6 years.
Ever think about going 100?
I tried. Yeah, my body
tried.
doesn't like it.
Really?
Yeah, because once I get to 213, that body weight just started aches, pains. Lifts actually don't go well. Felt weaker actually just with all the inflammation on me. And then I think that I'd have to do it just over time and slow. But if I do that, where I'm at in the game right now, when my total is at 90 and 93, that would be pointless. So it's just like stay 90, 93 for at least probably the
Because
next
you're
2 or
still
3
killing it,
years.
and the progress is there. Like I
Yeah.
see last CPT, look at your deadlift.
Mhm.
You know, we're growing, man.
Yeah, no, I think, and I still have a lot to put on my bench and a lot to put on my squat. And if I get it, when I get the chance to go 93, that would be the edge that I really need. Just where I could weigh like 210, 209 in the off season, or just when I'm not like, prepping for a meet, and then like get closer to meet, like I can, slowly cut like 207, slight cut to 205. And then I already know my numbers would do way better there.
It looks like you're slated for Worlds.
Huh?
Looks like you're slated for the IPF, man. That's
Yeah.
legit.
No, that's next year. That's the goal. Politics aside, because I'm not like that's what I want. Politics between the
That's what
sports
I'm
is
over here
so-
thinking about. I'm like, should I ask some questions or
Yeah.
should I stay quiet?
Yeah, no, it's just the politics is so weird. It's just So as far as I know, like on the back channels, like I'm set to do PA Nats and set to have a clear shot and a clear path of how I get to Worlds. Just a matter of me doing and executing and making sure that they don't switch up on their end and kind of like, shake me from it. Which ultimately though, like if something political wise happens that blocks me from going to Worlds, I'm not mad. It's just now everyone knows like, hey, I was blocked from this opportunity, so I'll just keep out totaling y'all everywhere else.
Yeah. Just know I'm coming for your money.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I can't see them blocking you. I mean, right now, because they really, I guess, aren't showing any preference to any, I guess, US like 90 kgs or 93 kgs. Like, Gavin went out there and whatnot and fucking had a shitty ass meet. Was not good at all. Like, I think he ended up taking 5th. Then you had Keiko out there who did phenomenal and whatnot, but you couldn't see any, I guess, like real preference, I guess, like behind the person. You know, so I can't imagine, I guess, like blocking you. You never competed in the
yeah.
IPF before. This is your
No,
first
no.
time being in there. They can't say, okay, since you competed before, suspending you like they did to Rondell, which is the shadiest, dumbest shit. By the way, I don't know whether that was the IPF in general or that was like
It
Trinidad
was
Tobago.
Trinidad. It was more Trinidad.
I-
The IPF backed that decision, but I don't know, the Trinidad. Yeah, that federation just has it out for Rondon. I don't know why. That's
I mean, that doesn't make sense. He's like basically like the most well-known lifter. They just
So with
decide to like
So you have like two different federations that claim that they're part of the IPF in Trinidad.
really.
Yeah, you have the old one and you have the new one. The old one was voted out, but the people who were in there are pretending as though it never happened. But the correspondence that takes place between the IPF and Trinidad still happens through those people. So it's them who are holding on to it. It's like it's quite tyrannical.
Yeah, they're
They don't belong there. So because like Rondell went with the new organization who was democratically voted for, what
they're blackballed.
Yeah.
So that's what.
came after him, from what I understand.
I think that's right.
Which is wild. It's like one of the best lifters in the world. As far as
I'm concerned, I want to say like IPF wise and stuff like that.
You know, he is the best lifter. Jesus Olivares had a very commanding performances at the Sheffield and the Worlds and so on and so forth, but for some reason, just a lot much more professional right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say Jesus is still like number one until Rondell does what he's capable of. Like, I still need to see it from Rondell, but yeah, like Rondell has the potential to be the best lifter we ever seen on the platform.
I agree.
Like in a single day.
565-pound bench press, bro. His
You
squats,
know what I think it is for you? I think you're more impressed by Rondell because you're in the same weight class, so you can kind of gauge what he's doing compared to you.
Not so
That's
much.
what I think.
Not so much. I've been following Rondell since before he popped on the scene. I was back in 2016, 2017.
he's just such a little instigator. I love it.
No.
I like it. That's a good question. No.
Think of it, right? Jesus weighs like 400 pounds, right? Yuli weighs like 265. He can compare himself to Rondell, but he cannot compare himself to Jesus. Like he doesn't know how.
275.
But he doesn't know how being 400 pounds feels like.
But he knows
how being like. But he knows how it feels to be like 275.
So I remember like in 2016, 2017, I was like reposting Rondell's lifts as nobody really knew about him because I saw what he did. You know, like at Worlds and some sort of Junior Worlds. I was like, holy shit, how's nobody seen this guy? You know, look at the potential over here. Like this is back when like me and Max were still doing our own thing and shit like that. And I was just like, what the fuck, bro? And I had seen him from back then. And just to see him grow and see the potential he had from meet to meet, how many pounds he was accruing to his total, I was like, yo, this dude's going to be like one of the best lifters of all time. And then I think what ultimately happened is that dealing with that fucking stress and shit like that did a whole lot to allay his progress. I think he like
He's going backward for the ball block.
Yeah, well, he just couldn't compete. I mean, it's hard to. Now, talking about motivation, though, that's hard. Like, how to. When you literally don't have a path at all and you don't even know if you can ever compete again, but it's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to keep trying to stay strong, like, get stronger, and I'm going to keep trying to improve my total. But it's like, will it ever even get registered?
yeah.
Like,
What am I saying?
Like, what are you going to do? Like, is my time in this sport only to be a coach? Like, you know, as far as like Rondell, it's like, will I be an actual lifter again? Or am I just going to be like the really, really strong coach? So, I mean, that him having to deal with that, I'm sure it was like very intense. So then when he finally had that path within the USAPL, I think that's what helped boost his lifts and everything all over again.
I do think he needs to do a better job, I guess, with the attempt selection with deadlifts. You keep chasing that one number, whatnot. I think it's important, I guess, to not, you know, like shoot for that number itself, but to hit what's actually there. And seeing how intelligent he is, when I keep wondering why does he keep doing that, you know?
I think it's because it doesn't matter. Like, he's kind of like Ashton. Like, he reminds me of Ashton. Like, Ashton,
yes.
Like, whenever he's so ahead or when he knows he has something in the bag, he just send it.
I was looking at his open powerlifting. I looked at it quite a few times. Look at those third attempt deadlifts, the amount of misses. Oh, man.
Yeah, just sends. Because he already secured whatever he needed. He's already secured whatever by the second deadlift. Like, because that's what happened at the Arnold. He secured what he needed, second deadlift. And he was like, yeah, I'm just going to send it. The number that I want, just to see if I can hit it.
Yeah, no. It's wild, you know, to have that incredible kind of strength and shit, you know, to secure a win by the second deadlift. That's wild.
Well, I mean, not anymore because Bob is currently like surpassing my, and now he's going up to 110. So that's going to be an interesting battle as well.
Yeah, that's gonna.
I'm excited to see what's going to happen over there. Yeah.
But to go back to what you were saying though, about like Rondell in my weight class, that is definitely a motivating factor for me. Like legit, if there's somebody out there in my weight class, he's natty as well, and he's like totally 2200. What the fuck am I doing in 18s? Why am I not in 19s and 2000s myself?
Yeah.
So I think about that every single day. I'm warming up, I'm having rough days, whatever, like tired life, all that kind of shit. I'm like, I got to put my shit together because these guys in my weight class are doing this. So I have to be able to sum it up, you know?
See, we're still in an underdog phase.
Phase, you know, we haven't gone to the point that we're like established yet.
So
I
we're still working our way up.
I think he may grow out of his. I don't know what's going to happen with me.
I mean, you're gonna be one of the best masters ever.
Oh, man, maybe your own.
So I don't know if that works for you, bro.
Yeah, I'm not
Can't wait for
I will
Masters.
say in the open. I do think I guess I'll be able to like do something interesting. I'd like to be, I guess, very competitive and see what takes place. You know, like everybody else, everybody out there is gunning to win. I'm also going to win, as delusional as they may well sound and whatnot. But I do know what's also been taking place that can lend some credibility to the fact that this past year I had like 200 to 300 pounds to my total.
Yeah, I mean, people thought I was delusional, so
Yeah, I know.
Well,
Isn't that wild, man?
here we are. So
Yeah, here. Yeah, tack on another 200 to 300 pounds by next year and see what happens. You know?
Yeah.
Of course, Rondell's going to add another 2 to 400 pounds. Be the first 125 kg year to hit 2,600.
no, I don't know about all that, but
I don't know. His progress right now is just like fucking. It's like a straight line, man. Benching 565 pounds, bro. Yo, that is fucking.
no,
nuts.
that's
Holy shit.
ridiculous. Yeah.
But that stuff though. So, yeah. How do you motivate your lifters? Because I know just like every other coach, you have those people basically who just they go in all like hard and strong. Yeah, I want to be the best. I want to do this, that, and the other thing, and you see them just fall apart at the seams. You know, like all of a sudden they get listless. The training isn't what was that before? Was a bump in the road, and all of a sudden they lose their fucking bearings. What's your process, or do you have a process for that?
I have a process now. Well, before it used to be more like just personal, just trying to talk individual communication, just really hearing them out, letting them feel what they feel, but then also just letting them know just how this sport works, how sports in general work, and just give them stuff like that. But now I'm at a point to where I need to speak to them as like a mass, and I actually have like mindset Mondays, or like I do kind of like a post each week as far as like different things that they want to keep in mind as they're training throughout the week, as far as like whenever they're having bad days or when they feel certain things. Because like I think last week I made a post and I was like, took a video of me in a session, and I attempted, I think it was like I had a top set of 520 something for 4. There should have been like a RP6 a day, and I took one, and it just felt like super rough. Like it just felt, I did it and I racked it, and I was like, damn, like I don't know. I looked at the video, I was like, no, that moved fine, and I was like, took a second, and then I was like, this is a good teaching moment. So I recorded myself talking, and I got myself together, just brought intensity, remembered why I was in the fucking gym in the first place, and then got back into the bar, and I said, I don't care if I die. Like if I die under this weight, it makes no sense. Like it doesn't make sense for, if I'm a 700 plus pound squatter, why am I gonna get folded by 520 pounds? Like that doesn't make any sense, right? So then I just committed to the set, committed to it 100%, and just didn't care what happened. I didn't care what I felt. And I was able to, do the set and move beautifully on video. And like I record myself talking after that, clip that up, and then share that message with my people of, hey, there's going to be times in the gym that because of life circumstances or because of something maybe not be right with diet, or maybe you had like a stressful day at work, or maybe there's something going on at home, that when you hit the gym, you may not feel the best, or your body may register things as heavier than normal. But there are going to be moments where you need to listen to your body and then like take a chill and be conservative. Or there are other times you need to be realistic and objective with yourself and be like, okay, these are numbers that are normal. I'm looking at the video. They're moving like how they move normally. Okay, this is mental. And then you just need to wake up and commit. And then so that way you can win your session. And then every single time, now you can build off of that versus taking a step back. And just different things like that. I kind of like go over with them on like a weekly basis of different mindsets that they just need to carry with them. Because everyone needs, if you're going to be in the sport, you need to have an athlete's mindset, even if you've never been an athlete before, because you're not going to last in the sport if you aren't an athlete. At the end of the day, this is not just working out. And people think it is. And if you come into the sport thinking that you could just work out and do this sport, no. At the end of the day, you're either going to just work out and never compete on the platform, or you're going to be very frustrated, burn out, and then not compete again. But if you actually develop yourself to be an athlete, then you can take the L's from a meet, capitalize on it, keep winning, have more fun, and you can keep having fun for like years to come, versus just being sad, burnt out, and then leave within 2 years.
Yeah, I mean,
It's just like
you said,
you have to have an athlete's mindset.
it's tough to lend the
athlete's mindset, or teach somebody to have the athlete's mindset.
never been an athlete themselves.
You
You see it there, like people just expect,
powerlifting. Both is just going to be, I guess, it's going to be linear.
and you're gonna
have PR after PR after PR because that's what you see on Instagram.
I was saying it's weird when you see your Instagram heroes never post their failures, or you see your Instagram heroes really not even talk about how they haven't really even done shit in the sport.
Yep. Yeah, no.
Yeah, there's
That's something.
yeah, there's too many people with a lot of followers that actually haven't done anything. That's clouding the view and the perception of what it means to be a powerlifter.
Fancy packaging. It's all the fancy packaging.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with what you just said. And but for the listeners, I'd like you to, or could you expand a little bit on like what it means to be an athlete?
So what it means to be an athlete is understanding that you have certain goals that you want to achieve, and understand that there's going to be hardships and adversities in order to achieve those goals, and that consistency matters above anything else. Consistency matters above your feelings. Consistency matters above whatever you have going on in life, because at the end of the day, you're the one who set those goals. You're the one who cares about said sport. So now if you want to be an athlete about it, and you want to commit to the things you say you care about, then you can't hop on every excuse that comes along. Now, don't get me wrong, life does happen. Things actually do kind of get us sidetracked, but an athlete ends up rising to the occasion, and an athlete ends up making adaptations to their training or figure out a way to get their goal achieved and get the job done. Not just cry or not just whine whenever things go astray or whenever things get held back, because at the end of the day, you're holding yourself to that higher standard, and you're the only one that can pick yourself up to achieve said standard. No one else can do that for you. And if you're not an athlete, then it's going to be really hard, because then you're just going to spiral down, get depressed, and you're just going to quit.
Yes, I love that. Thank you. That was great.
Cool.
Yeah, that was deep.
My bad.
No. You want those moments, bro.
That's some shit that I needed.
No, that was great. I think a lot of athletes need to hear that, to be honest, especially like you said, lifters who weren't really previously athletes before, and they got into powerlifting and started, they did a meet or two, and they want to, they enjoy the training, but it's like, do you view training as working out, or do you view it as training to get better at your sport? And how serious are you about it? And are you behaving like an athlete and, doing the things you need to do inside and outside of the gym to get better at it?
Yeah, no, I was actually, it's funny that we're even having this conversation, especially like with the deep talks. Hey, I said deep talks, not pillow talks. Hey, hold on now. No, I was gonna say something. Never mind. I was like, if it's deep, we ain't talking.
Pause.
This is a crazy segue. There's a guy yesterday at the meet, and it was interesting because this was the first time that in person someone came up to me about like the bomb out and stuff like that, as far as like needing my advice. And so he had just bombed out, and so he like saw I was there.
Like he bombed out at the meet?
He bombed out at the meet yesterday.
Oh, fuck.
Funny enough, he was in a GPT singlet, but so it was so poetic. And so he comes to me, and really cool guy, and he just said, "Hey man, like I've been following like your story. I've been this. I just bombed out of my meet. Like I feel like shit. Like I just feel horrible. I don't know what to do. Like I feel like I actually may want to cry. It's like I feel like it shouldn't affect me like this, but I'm like after seeing how you bounce back, like I just feel as if I shouldn't feel how I feel, but I do. And like, how do I come back from this?" And I said, one, I was like, cry. Like, if that's what you want to do, like, if that's what you need to do, like, cry, like, let your feelings out. If you want to go home, and you want to go straight to sleep, like do that. I was like, in this moment, this shit does suck. Like bombing out sucks. Like it's not a fun thing. It's not like your feelings of the human being go away. I said, you feel what you feel right now, and you wholeheartedly feel that. Don't try to push those emotions back. But after that, like after you get all your emotions out, whether that's later tonight, whether it's the next morning or whatever, that's when you have to breathe and be like, well, what happened? And then fixate on the thing that happened that you can correct, but then don't overly change everything just because of one mishap. Like if your thing was like locking out on deadlift, then only worry about that. Don't think you have to change your entire approach to how you train or change your entire approach to how you live life, because then that's too many changes and you're overcomplicating things. Then you're gonna start overthinking your training, and then it's not gonna be fun anymore. And then you're not gonna be you're gonna be trying to perform to not mess up versus perform to be your best. And that's not really a good way to look at training. So find what happened, fix that, make sure it never happens again. And then the next thing you need to do is plan out how you're going to redeem yourself. Like, what's the next meet? Like, you need to go ahead and compete again, because you got to get this bad, like,
juju.
Yeah, bad juju, get this bad, energy away from you and have that success, because success is important. Like, you need to go ahead and do that. You can't run away because you're scared of it happening again, because you didn't come into sport just to
Just handed to you.
just for it to be easy, like you didn't, start powerlifting just because of one bad meet's going to take you away from it. Like that happens. Like we all, like other great basketball players or great players in general, lose games, lose championships. Like it happens. And I was like, and then I was saying, like, for me, like whenever I bombed out of the Arnold, it sucked. like that was a bad day. I mean,
Teaches you how to be a better athlete, though.
Yeah, I saw like I needed a better recon strategy. I understand what that felt like in that moment. And I was like, okay, cool. Like now I know what to do. And I had that. And then it allowed me to enter a different mindset and energy that I was able to bring to training. And I was able to get my win back. And then now people look at me and they kind of remember the bomb out, but now more people look at me for like, oh, dude, that deadlift was crazy. Oh man, that 821 was amazing. And it's just like the narrative just like slowly starts fading. And then you have people who may have been probably on the team, like, because I guess for me personally, like, anyways, in and off with that guy, talked to him, he thanked me for everything, and then he, went on his way. But it's just like people like him who are supporting, supporting him and stuff like that or whatever, they would probably look at me before and, cast me aside in that moment for those 12 weeks, right? Say like, oh, well, there's no way that he can compete with him. Like, look what he just did. He just bombed out. Like, he's not an established lifter, or like, I don't have a resume that backs up, like things will just, a narrative will get spun.
One hit wonder.
Yeah. One hit wonder, like all those things, right? And as an athlete, that's when you can tell if you have the mindset or not, because other people, you would, spiral into depression, or you would just quit the sport because you're afraid of like that narrative being spun, right? And for me, I was like, no, like I'm gonna go ahead and just change the narrative. And then when I did, now no one will like start talking to me that way. Like no one will like even bring that up. Like people from that side will now come up to me and start talk to me about Carolina Primetime. Talk to me like how I was able to like establish myself in this sport. Talk to me about how I'm able to battle adversity so well, and how I'm able to like stay on top, like regardless, right? And like you have people who may have not been a fan of me because of whatever, now they are a hardcore fan of mine. Like now they want to support me in whatever I do, right? And you have people who just want to, when they see me, they just want to talk to me. Like, cause I say I actually inspire them, right? But if you never work through the adversity, if you never work through the bullshit, you don't get a chance to sit in that seat to inspire others. You don't get a chance to sit in that seat and be able to talk to other people, or be able to, really change the lives of others. It's really hard to change the life of someone when you see them only win, Like
sometimes you need the L to realize if you're actually like you want to do this or not.
And people, if you're like, people appreciate seeing that too, because it's a lot more relatable, because if you think about it, the majority of power lifters are, the 97, 98%, whereas the elites are a very small proportion of the overall population of competitive lifters.
Right.
Like, you want to set that example. You want to kind of, be a leader, and you want to show them, hey, like, it's not all good for me. Like, I have bad days too. And, like you mentioned, all great sports figures have had bad days in their lives, right? It's like, you can't just always expect the win. You can't always expect to be on top. And I think you learn a lot of life lessons through those experiences, and you're able to learn how to bounce back, and all these obstacles seem less threatening moving forward, and you're like, I got this. And you have like more self-confidence, and you're able to do, to achieve great things ultimately. So I think speaking on all this stuff you've spoken on today has been incredible.
I don't know. I mean, personally, as an athlete, quote unquote, I don't know.
No, why quote unquote?
Yeah. I mean, I consider myself an athlete, right? But I don't know how other people see me, and I don't care how they see me, to be honest.
Fuck other people.
Okay, exactly. No, that's not exactly how I am. I don't care about others, right?
Well, oh wait, yeah.
I mean, honestly, though, like, if you compete, if you dedicate a large amount of your time to this sport, and you put effort into your training, and you pay your fucking dues, like, who gives a shit what your total is?
Exactly.
I don't consider yourself an athlete. You don't have to be.
What other people think, right? I just said it, like, just in case, like, people might not think I'm an athlete.
Well, I think you're an athlete.
Thank you, appreciate it, but
as an athlete, the way that I see it is like,
sometimes you got to be able to take like whatever losses you've had and like use them to like basically propel you to like become a better athlete, a better version of yourself. Like, if you let those losses like take you down, then you're basically you're not learning anything from it. You got to be able to take that and like
bounce back
and learn something.
It's like an interesting paradox, because you can't learn how to be better without those experiences.
Exactly.
Yes.
You have to also understand, if you're like other athletes in other sports which have been around for a little bit longer and whatnot, loss is one of the most important components of that field. Of the sport itself. You're playing football, playing baseball, playing basketball. You may be losing 50% of the time.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do every time you lose? Just say, "Oh, I'm fucking quitting." No, conversely, what happens is you find like the fire is rekindled. It lights up on your ass. You're like, I gotta do better. I'm gonna beat that team. That's the mindset there. So that's what.
Well, your actions speak volumes in those circumstances, because quitting's the most readily available option.
Precisely.
Right? It's very easy to just give up and say, "Fuck this. I'm good with this." But it really speaks volumes about who you are as a person, as an athlete, to come back and triumph and do better than you did before, and show everybody, like, hey, I learned from this mistake. I adjusted course, and here I am, back stronger and fucking better than ever. So
it's all about maintaining a healthy perspective and not looking at things on a micro level, but looking at them on the macro level. If you're going to look at things on a micro level, you have to look at basically what took place, do a little bit of a postmortem, and say, where did I mess up over here? Okay, I fucked up on squats. You know what? I've been fucking up on squats. Let me take care of my squats going forward. It's an opportunity, People take it as a personal insult to themselves, like it's a questioning their identity, or it's because they messed up and whatnot. But you have to understand that in that situation, you effectively, this is where you fucked up over here. This is something you can work on. You should work on. And I've done that myself in my past failures. I bombed out on bench press once as well, and I think it was like pretty cheesy. Like, my feet weren't legit. My shoes kind of did this, and like they had me hold the bar up in front of my face for like 11 seconds, and my arms.
It's a fine line though, because it's interesting. I really like what Brandon said earlier about how you can get into this mindset where like each training session is trying not to mess up, rather than like trying to do the right things to actually propel you forward and get better. But it's like there's a very small distinguishable factor there. You know what I mean? Like, between one and the other. So it's really interesting to think about, like, always going into the gym and like focusing on things to the point where you're like, fuck, I keep like messing this up and I have to get this right, versus like, I don't know, like,
like,
it's tough to really articulate, right? Like,
like it's a fine line. Like, for instance, let's say that someone is struggling, like, for instance, like with like feet or whatever, right? You can't scrap each session that your feet aren't all the way down, because then like you're just gonna, like, you're ultimately not gonna be the lifter that you were, and you're gonna be fucking up that way. But what you can do is execute to the best of your ability to that session. We record all our lifts. You record it like, oh, this session, man, my feet weren't down. Okay, I got to fix that next time.
Yep.
And then that's the goal and the objective next time. And then you execute it, and then you see, did you pass or fail? Then it's like, okay, oh, I did better this time. Okay, my feet actually were down. Bet. And you just keep, capitalizing on that versus in session feeling like, oh, I'm a failure. Like, oh, my feet aren't down. Like, man, I keep fucking up. Like, that's not making you any better.
No, of course not.
Another missed opportunity to get better,
It's like
not the right frame of mind to have. Like it,
right.
No. But like, so my fix for that was basically I changed my foot setup. I put it in such a way that I couldn't, find my feet not being on the floor, like not being planted fully. And I grew from there. Instead of saying I was so much stronger in this position, I said, let me get strong from this position.
Yep.
That was my thing.
Mm-hmm.
So just like in other sports, when it takes place, is sometimes you'll find yourself because we're tying into, I guess, what happened, the judging and that kind of stuff, which I found to be quite petty and quite controversial at the time. I said it happens. In football, you can have referees who are preferential to the one team.
Mm-hmm.
We'll call, I guess, we'll call you for, I guess, for whatchamacallit, for being too rough in the one play when you've been fucking face mask the entire fucking duration of the game.
They missed that somehow. Or hold it.
So on and so forth. Yeah, but it is what it is. You say, okay, this happened. I'm just gonna make sure to do a better job of it next time, as opposed to saying, oh man, that means I suck as a lifter, which is what many people who have not been athletes in their lives prior to powerlifting tend to do. I've noticed. You have to understand that it's a moment. That moment doesn't define who you are.
You got to get past it. You have to have a macro view. Okay, this is a blip on the radar
over here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna keep moving.
That's the whole mindset. That was that robustness. You can't let that stuff define you, and what you shouldn't allow to define you is your resilience, your persistence.
I always frame that as like, if you get into this sport, right, I would assume that you plan on doing it for a long time, right? 10, 20, 30 years, because why are you going to commit to it if you're like, well, I'm going to do it once or twice and stop? Some people do that, right? They end up doing that, but I'm not saying like that. When you get into this sport, you're like, I'm going to commit to this for the long term. So when people have a bad day, I'm always like, well, over a 30 plus year training career, this is a very small blip on the radar. That's it's not even going to matter in 5 years or even in 2 years or in 1 year, right? This one day is not going to matter, and it's not going to, it's not representative of how things are going to look moving forward. So, like you mentioned earlier, have your cry, have your emotional moment.
Yeah.
Then it's time to move on after that.
Yep. Yeah. Speaking of moving on, what's the transition? What are we talking about?
Yeah, what are we moving on to? I'm cool to wrap it up. I think that was a great conversation. Yeah.
We've said pause so many times. I had to do it once too.
No, but I think that was good. I think it makes for a great topic. It's motivation and powerlifting. How to keep it up.
Hey, no, that's a clickbait right there.
All day long.
Yeah.
No, I think that should be our title. How to keep it up, like today.
Yeah.
How to keep it up.
How to stay hard.
Yeah, how to stay hard.
Featuring Brandon Pitre.
No, starring would be kind of crazy. Starring.
Oh my god! But yeah, I think it was a really
I think it was great.
episode.
Want to say thank you, Brandon,
Yes,
for coming out
of
here. Pitre, dude, awesome, great little show over here. I love hearing what you have to say and whatnot. There's a lot more we want to hear from you and shit like that. We had a little conversation last week. I'd love to touch on to that some other point in time.
Yeah.
Dude, amazingly smart person. As great of a lifter as he is and whatnot, get a chance to speak to him, you really realize just how deep. Pause.
Shit.
Yeah, and if honestly, for any listeners, I'm sure they all know who Brandon is, but if they don't, please fill them in, where they can find you on Instagram, stuff like that.
Yeah, I just want to say first, thank you guys for having me on. This has been really cool, very great hospitality here for sure. And y'all are funny. And for everyone listening, you can find me on Instagram under Bless Pitre, and then on YouTube, Bless Pitre. Really everything. If you type in Bless now, I feel like on Instagram or anything, I'll probably be one of the first ones that you see. So it's really cool. And I just want to say thank you guys, the listeners, for tuning into this podcast and being like, oh, they're doing one with Pitre? Okay, I'm gonna listen. That's really cool, and I'm thankful for that.
First,
Great to have you aboard. Sinclair, thank you. Elijah, thank you. And I guess this wraps it up. Thank you for listening. Hope you guys have a wonderful day.
peace.
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 All right.